Hey everyone, welcome to my channel and welcome to my 25 Days of Craftmas series. During this series, I'm going to show you how to make these 25 Christmas projects using your Cricut machine. And I'll also share the SVG files I use to make the projects for free, so you can make them too. If you missed day 1, be sure to check it out. It's day 2, and today I'm showing you how to make this chalkboard Christmas countdown sign. The black rectangle is painted with chalkboard paint, so it works just like a mini chalkboard. Just write the countdown day with a piece of chalk and erase with a cloth or paper towel when you're ready to write the next one. Now let's go take a look at the supply list and get started. For this project, you'll need wood for your sign, and mine measures about 12 inches by 24 inches. You'll need adhesive vinyl for the stencil, and the color doesn't matter. You'll need transfer tape, a weeding tool, your scraper, paint and brushes, chalkboard paint, and you can use either brush on or a spray. A wood plaque and glue are optional, as well as a sawtooth hanger. And then of course you'll need your Cricut, a cutting mat, and the cut file. So grab your supplies and head over to your computer. The first thing we need to do is grab the SVG file we'll be using for this project. You can get it for free on my blog at burtonavenue.com. I keep all the SVG files for the projects I make and share in my free SVG library. These files will work with all kinds of cutting machines and they're free to everyone. Once you're on my site, just click on Free SVG Files and then Free SVG Library. You will need a password to get into the library, and there are instructions on the screen if you need to get one. For this project, we'll be using the He's Making a List countdown file, BA1813. You can either click on Craftmas 2021, or you can use your browser search and type in 1813 to go to the file. So click on that link, and the files will be downloaded onto your computer. I'm going to show you how to use this design in Cricut Design Space. If you're not sure how to unzip and import designs into Cricut Design Space, be sure to check out my step-by-step tutorial. So once you have the design on the canvas screen, we need to resize it so that it will fit on the piece of wood we're going to be using. So I'm just going to move it over here to the side for a minute, and then I'm going to create a rectangle that is the size of my piece of wood. So I'm going to click on Shapes and then choose Square. And then I'm going to go up here and unlock the padlock and put in the dimensions of my piece of wood. And my wood measures 12 inches by 24 inches. And then I'm going to click on the minus sign so I can see everything. And then I'm also going to click on Arrange and choose Send to Back. And now I can see the design in front of the rectangle. So now we can just drag on these arrows until the size of the sign looks good. And I usually like to go about an inch smaller than the size of my wood. So we'll go about 23 inches high and about 11 inches across. Now the next thing that we need to do is turn the design into a stencil. And what we would normally do is just select both the rectangle and the design and right click and choose Attach. And then that would be our stencil. But the problem with this design is that our rectangle is bigger than our Cricut will cut. So I'm going to undo that, and I'm just going to select the rectangle, and I'm going to change the width to 11.5 inches and change the height to 23.5 inches. Because that is the biggest size that we can cut with the Cricut. And so now we can select both the design and the rectangle, and we're going to center everything by clicking on a line and then choose Center. And now we can right click and choose Attach. And that will just lock all of those pieces into the rectangle. It will change it all the same color, so it will cut everything on one piece of vinyl. And that is all that we actually need to do on the canvas screen. So now we can click on the green Make It button. And then we'll be taken to this screen. And this warning up here is just telling us that we have a bigger than normal design and that we're going to need a larger cutting mat. And you can see down here it changes the size to 12 inches by 24 inches. So we're just going to click on OK, and then you can just scroll down and see what the design will look like on the cutting mat. If everything looks good, you can click on the green Continue button. Make sure that your Cricut is on, and once Design Space finds it, you'll be taken to this screen. Make sure that your dial is set to vinyl, and then you can go load your cutting mat. So place a piece of 12-inch by 24-inch vinyl on your large cutting mat and smooth it down so there aren't any wrinkles or bubbles. Then load it into your Cricut by pressing the up and down arrow button. When your Cricut is ready to cut, you'll see the C button light up. Press that and the Cricut will begin cutting. Once everything has been cut, you can press the up and down arrow button again to unload your mat. Remove the vinyl from your cutting mat and weed away the excess vinyl. Since this is a stencil, we'll be pulling the letters and shapes out from inside of that rectangle. Place a piece of transfer tape sticky side up on your work surface and then place the vinyl on top of that and smooth it down. Rub over everything firmly with your scraper and then trim off the excess vinyl and transfer tape. Now that our vinyl is ready to go, let's go work on the wood. So for this sign, I used a piece of pine that measures about 12 inches by 24 inches. You'll want to sand over the entire piece of wood until it's nice and smooth. Then you can paint it all white. You'll probably need to do 2 to 3 coats on the front and sides. Painting the back is optional, but I like to do just one quick coat to make it look nice and finished. Allow the white paint plenty of time to dry. Once the paint is dry, it's time to apply the vinyl stencil. Place the vinyl so it's facing down and then pull off the vinyl backing. I like to do it this way so the vinyl doesn't curl. Now place the vinyl on the piece of wood. There should be about a 1/4 inch space around all the edges of the stencil. You can use a ruler, but I just kind of eyed it. Once the design is in place, you can use a scraper and rub over everything firmly. Then you can carefully pull off the transfer tape. Rub over the design a few more times with your scraper, just to make sure that everything is sticking to the wood. I also added tape around the edges of the stencil to protect the uncovered wood. Now paint a light coat of white paint over the entire stencil. We do this to help prevent bleeding. Sometimes there are little gaps between the stencil and the wood, and we hope that the white paint will fill in these gaps instead of the colored paint we'll be using later. Once the white paint is dry to the touch, it's time to fill in the stencil. The rectangle in the center needs to be painted with chalkboard paint, so you can write and erase the letters. There are 2 options for doing this. You can either brush on chalkboard paint onto the rectangle, or you can use a separate piece of wood that is about 5 by 7 inches and spray it with chalkboard paint. I found this cute wood plaque that I sprayed with chalkboard paint, and I'll glue it in place when the stencil is finished. For the colored paints, you'll probably need to do 2 to 3 coats to cover up the white paint underneath. Once all of those colors are dried to the touch, you can carefully pull off your stencil. You can use a weeding tool or a craft knife to pull out any pieces that were left behind. If you painted a piece of wood for the chalkboard, you can also glue that into place. If you want to hang the sign, you can flip it over and attach a sawtooth hanger on the back. Before you can write on the chalkboard, you need to prime it. First, take your chalk and hold it sideways. Then, rub over the surface of the chalkboard with the chalk. Rub horizontally and then vertically. Let that sit for a few minutes and then wipe the chalk off with a paper towel or cloth. And that's it. This project is finished. It's such a cute way to count down the days until Christmas. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to my channel and click on the notification bell to get notified each time I post a new video.